Hello, I'm Maxine Drake, and I am here with Becky Kuehn, my very, very, very dear friend and colleague from Oncology Spa Solutions. And we thought we'd have a little chat today about what she does. I love Becky. I just love you so much.
Right, gotcha.
And I know, and I love everything that you do. I love how you've grown, and I just want the world to know, the aesthetic world to know about you. I'm like your biggest cheerleader over here.
I know, and you're not that this is a love fest, but you're one of my very favorite people in the whole wide world. So,
Love fest. Okay. So, just to get started, why oncology? Like, why oncology? Not,
mainstream aesthetics. Well, I started out that way, and I think that the focus really for me started, as you know, when I was diagnosed with cancer myself a long time ago. So that was in the back of my mind, and it was always there, and I always wanted to know how I could make that work with what I did.
Yeah.
Making people feel beautiful is a wonderful thing, and everything that we do in the aesthetic world is so important and so appreciated by people. But when you're working with the oncology client, there's just nothing like the reward. First of all, they are, feeling down, they're feeling ill, they don't feel good about themselves, they feel like nobody's listening to them, they feel like nobody cares. So when you can actually step into that situation and really change somebody's life in that moment,
Yeah.
it's so rewarding. So, I've been doing it for about almost 9 years now in one hospital, 7 years in the other. Yeah. And it's like, somebody was asking me the other day, kind of a similar question, but she said, would you ever go back to doing something other than this? And I said, no. For me, the answer would be no,
Right.
Because it's so rewarding that it's just the path that I was made for, and I know it. So it's right for me.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I can't even believe it's been 9 years, because I think that's about when we met, about 9 years ago-ish. Gosh.
Yes.
Time flies. So what are some important, facts that estheticians need to know, about, or, that they may not know regarding oncology?
Okay, well, first of all, I think this is an important number, and it just came out in January, but there are 14.2 million survivors in the US. And the thing about that number is that those are potential clients for every one of us. Whether you work with oncology clients or not, that person could walk into your spa. And there are things that we need to ask. There are questions that need to be asked so that you can make sure that when you're doing a treatment on that person, it will be custom and specific to their unique needs.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned along the way too, Maxine, is that, yes, this is great for working with an oncology client, but the things that we teach in this class actually make you a better esthetician, because you're going to start asking questions with everybody that comes in, and shouldn't we be doing that?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Right?
No, you're right on. It's very true. And gosh, I'm trying to think of what year I got oncology trained, and I've taken your class, I think, a total of 3 times, and I can't take it enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while, because I'm not in the treatment room practicing, so things are going to fall away much easier for me. But I think the thing that blew me away was like, oh my gosh, there's so many crossovers into autoimmune, disease, autoimmune diseases, lupus, diabetes, thank you. And I was like, oh my gosh. So and you've heard me say this before too, like every esthetician needs this class. She just doesn't know it yet.
Right. And it's really true. And, I get reaffirmed that every time somebody takes a class, and the emails that I get afterwards with the, comments like, I cannot believe how much information was in this class. So you know what? We have a brand new training manual. So we just launched it in May, and it's fabulous. I can't wait for you to see it.
I can't wait.
We're digging a little bit deeper, going more into the history of cancer, just because that's interesting, and the body. So we also talk about immune the
Mm.
immune system, we talk about the lymphatic, we talk a lot about the mind, spirit, emotional aspect of it, because that's an area where we as estheticians can really affect that client.
Oh, absolutely. The
Right?
psychosocial aspect, you know, so no, it's true. Something's going on with your audio.
It is now.
No, there you're clear now. Okay, good. Sorry, having a little glitches. We're doing this live here, not live, but yeah. Okay, so now since you've opened Oncology Spa Solutions, I have to say, Becky, holy cow, right? You have really grown and it's really taken off. So tell me, how many trainers do you, how many mini Beckys do you have out there now? Like what's going on? Tell me, give me the scoop.
It is very exciting. So we opened in 2013. And in 2013, it was me. And it was just myself doing classes all across the US, and it was about 6 classes that year. So we've gone from that in 2013 to today with 9 trainers and 44 classes this year in the US.
Wow, 9 trainers?
9, yes, 9 trainers. And actually, I could use a few more because I still have a few areas where I don't have anybody.
Okay, well, if you're an esthetician listening and you are inspired, then yeah, definitely contact Becky. Well,
Yeah,
that's right.
absolutely.
So I'll get to meet all of these trainers in October.
Yes, you will. Yes.
Hmm,
We'll all be there.
so where are some upcoming classes? Do you have, like, can you tell us where something is
Yeah.
coming up really quick here or in the near future?
So, yep. This month in June, we've got a class in New Jersey, Secaucus. We've got one in Billings, Montana, and Waterloo, Iowa. And then Blue Springs, Missouri. And then August, we're actually going to try doing a class in Alaska. This will be our first class in Fairbanks. Super excited about that. Madison, Wisconsin, Irvine, California, and Orlando. So throughout the year, rest of this year, there's 3 or 4 classes each month somewhere in the US.
Okay. Wow, you are really, you have really grown.
It's really exciting because it seems like there's some new opportunity every week is coming to this particular plate, and I have to learn to say no. So I'm kind of learning that one as well, because that's important too. But a few things that I want to share with you that's happening that is really exciting is that I am going to be doing the Milady revision. I don't think I told you this. So in 2018, oncology trained aesthetics will be mentioned in all basic Miladies. So this is wonderful because that means that students going in and learning, it will no longer be a contraindication to work on a cancer patient. So they'll get some basic information and know that with additional training, once they're done, if they decide to go this way, you can work with the oncology client. So that's really exciting.
Congratulations. This is like huge, talk about raising the bar in our industry, which I know is both of our end goals, like, in both of our work.
Right.
It's like, yes, like that is super fantastic. Congratulations on that. That's like big news for us.
Yes.
For, across the board. And yay. Okay. Well, so do you want to talk about the October event? Is that like public yet or?
Well, we're still finishing all the details, let's put it that way, but we're going to do a larger type symposium where we can bring in all of the grads and everybody who's taken the class to have a little refresher at a really low price, because that's been a big issue. As well as including some special speakers like yourself and several other people who will be talking about different things, not only business type presentations, but also things to do with oncology. So a little bit deeper in for people who are really interested in making this their niche. And you know what's really fun too, Maxine, that in the beginning, I had maybe 1 or 2 people in a class of 12 that were wanting to make this their niche. And now it's like 10 out of 12 want to make this their niche.
Yeah.
So this has really changed, and this has changed in the last couple of years. And part of that for me, as I see my mission, is now paving the way and opening the door for them to be able to actually get into a cancer center or a hospital or get those referrals from doctors.
Right.
So one of the things that this year I got asked to do as well, which was a little scary at first, but it turned out to be so fun, is that I got asked to teach CE classes to doctors and nurses.
I remember you telling me.
Yes. And the topic of it was how working with an oncology trained esthetician can help you.
I love it.
They loved it, which really surprised me. I was a little nervous. I thought, I wonder what kind of questions they're going to ask. I wonder if they'll be interested at all.
Right.
All of the above. They were very interested. They were super excited to know that we existed, because we can help them in an arena that they aren't in. Their goal is to cure the cancer and to make sure that that patient is, healthy and cured, right?
Mm-hmm.
The side effects from the medications are not what they deal with.
Right.
That's where we come in, and we're able to help, and they were super excited to know that we exist. So that was another really fun thing this year.
Yay. Yeah, I remember being in one of your classes, and there was a doctor there, and she was actually floored. Remember? Like,
yes.
it's amazing how, they don't know. They don't know. Yeah, which is, spreading that awareness. So, wow, you have really woo.
We still have a lot of work of letting people know what an esthetician is. They still think we're anesthesiologists, or they don't know what we are, right?
Yep.
So we still have a lot of work to do, and I think that that's all of our responsibility to raise that bar.
Amen. I mean, that's really the truth. And that's that's like my big vision as well, is so that every consumer knows what an esthetician is, how we can affect their life. And it's just part of the culture.
Right.
It's right. Yeah.
And it's already changing. I've seen it in the last couple of years. So it's good.
Yeah.
We just need to keep on pushing.
Yeah. So I know you're busy traveling. Like, we're both usually, and it's like, when are you going to be in Madison? Oh, wait, I'll be there the month after you. You know what I mean? We're both busy traveling. So tell us, what is your time management secret?
Well, I'm kind of old school. I guess that's because I'm old. So I learned the old-fashioned way when I worked at Nordstrom about the task lists. And that's really how I work. I'm kind of a list kind of a gal. So I'll figure out what I need to do, and then move things up on a priority, and whatever comes up first on that list gets tackled first. But in this industry, and not only that, but as women, we multitask. So I've got a million things going all the time. I used to say hair on fire kind of a gal. I kind of like that to change. I used to think that I loved it and I thrived on it. But I think I did that only because I had to, right? So now I'm trying to change that a little bit and calm things down, keep things in order, and really take time for balance. That's the one thing that I've really learned in the last year. And I'll tell you, what has forced that was getting a dog. That made me have balance in my life. It makes me walk outside 2 or 3 times a day. It makes me look at nature. It makes me breathe fresh air. So instead of sitting in my office all day, which I would have done, I now have to get up and move, and created that balance, which has been fantastic. And you know what's funny? I get as much or more done now than I did before I took those little walk breaks.
Because, I thank you. And I'm so glad you finally got a dog. And, how I feel about doggies anyway. And yeah, mine has certainly saved my life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I say, start your day off with play with your dog, because you will come back. And those breaks, you know what I mean? One of the things that I coach, work in 90-minute cycles, because we're cyclic. I mean, the body is, and, for us to sit down for 7 hours straight and it's forget it. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. It's also not healthy. Right? It's not healthy for us to do that either. So yeah, it's nice. Her name is Hallie, and we named her that for hallelujah. I finally got a dog. Woohoo! I just love her to pieces. So yes, she has brought great joy and a lot of balance in my life.
I'm so happy to hear that, because you deserve it. And everybody needs a little fur baby in their life to
I agree.
balance. That's just my personal opinion, because I love doggies. But okay, so what projects are you currently working on?
Whew. So right now I'm right in the middle of the Milady. So
Okay.
that's like number one on the priorities. So it's both in the essentials or the fundamental
Okay.
book, the basic book, and also the advanced book. So that's the number one priority. Then the next one is the project that we're going to be doing together, where we're going to co-author a book.
Yeah.
That comes next, and then after that, I have been working on my own book as well for about a year. So that's going to be, unfortunately, third on the list. So a lot of writing projects right now.
You and me both.
Mhm.
I'm doing a ton of writing too. Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to be doing this book with you also. It's fantastic. I think all of the author, I can't wait to read everyone's chapter. That's
Yes.
like, I'm really looking forward to that. So, okay. So this is kind of a fun question. What would be your one superpower?
Oh, wow. This one's kind of an interesting one.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I knew I had it, but people tell me I have it. And that is that, and I love it, that I have the ability to see people for who they are, not what you see on the surface. So I can actually look at somebody and see their heart, see their intention, and base whatever I'm going to do on that, right? I mean, I've had several people go, why did you hire that person? I'm not my trainers, but in past lives. And I say, because I see something in them, and then they turn out to be amazing. So I love that. I love finding somebody with that heart. I love nurturing, mentoring them, and then letting them fly. I think that's the most amazing thing.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, no, that's
You're going
beautiful.
to do that too, Maxine. So, maybe that's why we like each other.
I think so. I have a saying. I think that we do. I know that we both do a lot of self work, and I think that really the more you know yourself, the more you know others. And we're both compassionate, and I missed you to pieces. I can't wait to see you. I really missed you this year in Tampa, that's for sure, in our little girls time together. But I would love to know. Well, okay. So, who is your inspiration? Who inspires Becky?
Wow. There's so many people, honestly. Um, you know, really, truly, my number one inspiration is God. And you know that about me. So, everything I do to be pleasing to Him, because that's most important to me.
Mm.
After that, in this world, there's plenty of people in our industry that are really, making a change in our industry. Some of the education classes, you, for example, you are my inspiration on that, because what you're doing and really helping estheticians get to the business level that they need.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that before, that there's really nothing out there at the time to help them with that. And yet we're all in business. We need to know those skills. So, you are one of them. Wow. So many, I can't even think of all of them right now, but
Yeah.
anybody who's willing to be brave and make a change, because it takes bravery to do that. It really does.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so is there maybe a story that you have inside, but that you haven't really shared with anyone yet?
Wow, I have so many stories, and from the very little short ones to meeting with somebody who stage 4 cancer, and you spend an hour with them, touching them, caring for them, taking care of their skin needs, and listening to them, and seeing the impact that has on you. I had a gentleman, and he was a really interesting guy. He was in his 70s. He got brought in a wheelchair. His daughter brought him in. In fact, she's the one who made the appointment for him. And, he'd never been to a spa before. He didn't know what to expect. He didn't even know why he was there, but he was game. His daughter said, just do it, Dad, you'll have fun. So he was there. So we helped him out of the wheelchair and onto the bed. And, he had, because of the medications that he was on, he had some pretty dry, pretty horrible skin rashes and things going on. So, you know, we did some hydration and just, I took care of his feet, which he said no one had touched his feet in years, and just
Wow.
took good care of him. And it's what we do when we do that treatment, right? It wasn't anything really special. It was just what we do. And he said, when he got up off the table, he said, wow, I feel so, and I was, you know, how your brain works. I'm like, I wonder what he's going to say. What's that word he's going to fill in the blank with? He said, uplifted. I hadn't heard that one before. So I thought, wow, that's really interesting, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, I've never experienced this before. This was wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, about appointment and what it had meant to her father. And she said, as a matter of fact, it meant so much to him that he has a gift for you. And I have brought it in, and it's, you know, at the hospital behind the computer, whatever. She said, and by the way, he passed away. You know, when you think about that, so that was one moment in time. And I'm so thankful that I have those moments where I can be that and be there for that person really at the end of their life. And did I know it? And did he know it? Honestly, when I reflect back on that, I don't think either one of us knew that he was at the end of his life and he would only be here for another week. And we never know. We never know. So you love, you give, and you do, and hope that it has the meaning that it needs to.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it's a beautiful story. And you're right, you know, life is short. And we, you know, and you and I have had these deep discussions how there's so many people in the room for a birth, and, you know, and, you know, to be there, you know, in those final days or weeks or months for someone that is feeling scared and alone, and all these other things.
Right.
It's beautiful. So that's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Joy and reward of what I do. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. And, you know, exactly. It's rewarding because, I mean, you know, and you've shared a lot of different stories with me, which I love. And I'm always like, I love your stories, you know, from traveling and meeting people on an airplane to, you know, these stories that are very heartfelt from your actual clients that you see. And, you know, to really show the difference.
Well, I think when you care about people, right, you want to get to know them. You want to hear their life story, and that's what matters to them as well. We have a newspaper here in Washington called The Onion, and it's a kind of it's an interesting one. Let's just put it that way. They came out with an article not too long ago that said, "Please stop talking to me if you don't know me." And that was the name of the article. And when they did it, they said they polled people in Seattle and asked, do you like it when somebody talks to you that you don't know? And they answered, majority, 90% said no. And I thought, you know what, that's really sad. To me, that's says a lot about our culture today. People are so, you know, they've got their earplugs in and they don't want people to talk to them. You know, what happened to the day when you could say hi, you waved at somebody, even if you didn't know them, right?
Yeah. You know, that's an interesting statistic. And I could just say, you know, being back in my Tampa house now versus being in Hawaii, huge difference. Mm-hmm. People on the street in Hawaii and no one, I mean, it's not that it's lacking the aloha spirit, it's just the culture of people just, and I think it's big city also. Absolutely. You know, here I'm in my small town and I have talked to so many strangers, I didn't realize how much I missed it. But these last couple of weeks have been like, oh my gosh, I really love talking to people.
Well, don't you learn something every single time that you do?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. And so it's very, very interesting. So I don't, you know, and I was actually on one of my walks one morning and I'm like, I don't know that I could ever live in a big city again.
Yeah.
Because I really like that interaction. You know, it's our human side, and you know, and it's funny, a person like commented on one of my workshops, you know, last summer, and they said, you know what, Maxine, you're probably going to come back in a few years and teach us how to talk to one another. And I'm like, you're probably not too far from the truth, you know?
Yeah, maybe even sooner than that.
God, you know, the interpersonal skills, the emotional intelligence, and yeah. Anyway, so you know, thank you. Okay, let's lighten it up a little bit. So I have a couple of funny little. Okay, so funny questions. So what's your guilty pleasure? Like as far as what's your guilty pleasure?
Well, I have two. Okay, I watch a really crummy show. I love watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I actually pay for Hulu just for that show. It's bad. I can't help it. I just love it. And ice cream, right? So two things that make me happy: watching The Bachelor or Bachelorette and eating ice cream.
Oh, those are great. Yeah,
I don't get into too much trouble with them unless I eat too much ice cream. Other than that, it's pretty good.
Yep, that's so true. And then my last question for you, because thank you so much for taking the time out, is there an interview question that you always wanted or always wished that someone would ask you, but they never did?
You know, I don't think there is, honestly. I'm an open book, and a lot of times I get asked pretty much the same type of questions. So I was interviewed also this last week by Modern Salon magazine, and one of the things that they asked that I haven't heard in a long time, which is, you know, what should or shouldn't we do? You know, that's a basic, but that's one that doesn't always get asked in this type of an interview. And so, you know, I went into this story about being in Vegas, sitting at a large table of beauty school owners who were talking, and they were trying to, I'm going to say, they were really trying to one up each other about what they're doing at their school that was different or better than everybody else at the table. And I'm not a beauty school owner, so I was just listening. And one of them says, oh, well, we have decided that we offer everybody at the shampoo bowl a hand and arm massage. So for me, that's a big no-no, because that's the number one contraindication for somebody who's had lymph nodes either removed or radiated in this upper quadrant. If you do a hand and arm massage on somebody with that, you could actually give them lymphedema. So I said at the table, so do you guys ask them any questions before you do that? Do you have them fill anything out? No, they don't. And, you know, as I was explaining this particular story to the interviewer, the person who was interviewing me,
Right.
she said, oh my gosh, she goes, I'm a cancer survivor. I have had lymph nodes removed, and no one has ever told me that I shouldn't have a hand or an arm massage on that side. She said, you know, I know that I shouldn't do the blood pressure cuff or carry my bag, but no one told me that I shouldn't have a massage. So, you know, that's a big one for me, because that's really probably the number one contraindication, or the number one question that we need to ask, so that for safety, we can give that client a safe treatment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Isn't that like, and there's so many of those little things too, you know what I mean? But that is huge. And even that has changed since I became trained under you, where we were able to do light massage in a different direction. And now it's completely like, so there's changes. And that's why even if you are an oncology trained esthetician, to really stay connected to Becky and stay connected to each year, there's something new that you've learned that now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I can't wait to take your class again. I absolutely love it. I just do. So
we'll have to connect our schedules and make sure that happens.
I know I need some Becky time.
Becky time. Thank you so much for having me on today and for asking such wonderful questions. I love spending time with you.
I love spending time with you too, and thank you for coming on today, and have a beautiful rest of your day.
You too. Keep up the good work.